If you have been feeling a deep desire for positive change, if you are so ready to break free from something in your life that just isn't working for you now, you've just had it, you may feel like I just can't continue this. It could be a career shift. It could be that you want the freedom of running your own business. Maybe you want to move abroad. Maybe you know that a relationship or a partnership, if you can't breathe new life into it, you don't know if you can sustain it any longer. Or you know it is time for you to make more money. You really want to heal a chronic health issue. Some of you are ready to completely reinvent yourself. If you have been feeling any of what I'm sharing, I want to let you know that Uranus, the great awakener, the change maker, the transit of Uranus going retrograde for the next 5 months could be the transit that catalyzes you to free yourself to follow your heart's deep longing. So in part 1 of this video, I want to break down for you what can you expect from this Uranus retrograde transit, Uranus in Gemini. How can you use this quantum leap energy to create positive change? And I want to give you, as always, tips to move you forward on your soul's trajectory. In part 2, I will be doing readings for all 12 signs, letting you know where Uranus retrograde is happening in your natal astrology chart, and I'm going to pull an oracle card for each of the 12 signs as well. I am super excited to dive into this Uranus retrograde transit. I am feeling it so much in my own life, and I am guessing many of you are as well, because in my experience working with clients and reading some of your comments, we are soul family. There's a reason that you found me and this channel. If you resonate with being on a spiritual path, an empath, a highly sensitive person, or you're on an ascension journey, you are in the right place. Take a moment right now to tap the subscribe button and the notification bell so you don't miss a video. And welcome back to those of you who have been watching. Thank you so much for subscribing. If you have not yet subscribed, please take a moment to do so. It makes a huge difference to the success of this channel and my ability to continue making videos for you. If you don't know me, I'm Betsy. I am a psychic astrologer, intuitive life coach, the author of the book, The Magic of Saying Yes, Answering Your Heart's True Calling. I do astrology consultations. It is my absolute joy to meet you on Zoom. I love our one-on-one connection. So if you are intrigued by the possibility of doing a reading with me, stay tuned till the end of the video. I will share a little bit more about my astrology consultations and coaching, and I have a free gift for you. I'll tell you what that is and how you can get it. I also write weekly astrology updates for you, so if you'd like to get those direct to your inbox before they go out to social media, go to my website, subscribe for free, and you will get my free gift, instant download, at the same time. So let's talk about the dates to start. Uranus entered Gemini for the first time on July 7th, 2025. So it has only been in Gemini for a very short time, and it went retrograde on September 6th, the day before the Virgo lunar eclipse, which very much intensified that eclipse. And I know many of you felt that. Uranus will retrograde back into the sign of Taurus on November 7th, and then it will station direct in Taurus on February 3rd of 2026. It will not re-enter Gemini until April 27th of 2026. So it will be retrograde for about 5 months. And during a retrograde, we tend to feel the energy more internally. But what I love about Uranus is it is the great awakener. It is the planet of revelations, sudden epiphanies, aha moments, as we call them. Uranus wakes us up to a new perception or reality, often allowing us to see something with brand new eyes. And this is incredibly freeing. And this is the whole goal of Uranus, is to free and liberate us so that we can move forward. We can follow our soul's destiny. We can say yes to something that often feels like a pipe dream, or like we just don't know how this is going to come about. And I would argue this is the design of Uranus, because Uranus wants us to join with the divine to co-create a new reality. It's something most likely that you can't do on your own without the help of spirit, without the help of your higher self. By design, that brings us into a higher octave of, it raises our vibration. We have to take our awareness to the next level. We have to go to the next level of consciousness to achieve our dream. And yet our human self may not be aware of that. Our human self may just be like, I'm so done with this area of my life, I can't continue. I have to find a way to break free from this. Uranus is the archetype of the heavens. It is known as the cosmic intelligence. What I love about Uranus is it represents the field of all possibility. It reminds us that our conditioned minds can only see a tiny fragment of what is possible for us. Like one of those tiny flashlights that if you turn it on, it just lights up a little circle of area. But when we have a Uranus transit, when we get a Uranus moment, it opens us up to a much bigger view of what is possible for us. And that's why we call it a spiritual awakening. Another way to see Uranus is it is your future self or your future destiny calling you forward. So it could feel like a call of the soul. Think about technology. Think about just those words that we hear all the time now, AI. The fact that people now use ChatGPT to write papers or as their therapist or how to invest. I mean, I could go on forever, right? Uranus truly does and is revolutionizing our lives, revolutionizing our planet, so much of which we can't even see yet. This has been going on for a while now, of course. Pluto's in Aquarius, and Aquarius is co-ruled by Uranus. So this has been happening for a while before Uranus went into Gemini. But now that Uranus is in an air sign and Pluto in Aquarius, these planets are working together. I'll touch more on this in a bit. But Uranus is known as the highest octave of Mercury. Gemini is ruled by Mercury. So there's an ease in us receiving what we call divine downloads, sudden breakthroughs, and those deep, deep inspirational moments that can literally catapult us into new possibilities that we didn't even know were there before. Uranus wants to bring us more alive, and it reminds me of the quote by Howard Thurman, "Don't ask what the world needs, ask what brings you alive, because what the world needs is more people who have come alive." And Uranus wants to break us out of our comfortable routines, the familiar, because humans play it safe. Most of the time, we want comfort. We like our coffee or our tea a certain way, our toast or our croissant, or if you're going no carb, your yogurt with flaxseed nuts and fruit. But if we look at our lives, almost everything we do, whether it's eating or dressing, how we speak, how we write, how we do our days, in a lot of ways, it's very routine. And then it's like Uranus comes along if you're having a Uranus transit and taps you on the shoulder and says, "Excuse me, can you come outside? I need to talk with you." And you can get that pink slip that says, the way you've been doing your life, it's over. This area of your life is going to be reinvented now. You're on to a new chapter. You've been saying you've been bored. You've been saying you've been tired of this. You've been complaining about this for a while. Well, astrology rules timing, and a Uranus transit says the time for that change is now. So I know this is not all of you. Not every one of you is feeling this strong desire to make a change, but we're seeing it in the collective. We're seeing it all around us. And because we're highly sensitive, empathic people, most of us watching this video, that change is influencing everybody's vibration. Everybody is being influenced by this accelerated change of Uranus. Now, if you're wondering whether Uranus is influencing you, activating you right now, I want to say that we usually get nudges and clues first. We usually have a quiet, it starts as a quiet stirring within us. It can start to get louder. We become annoyed with little things. You could feel exhausted. You could be relying on caffeine or energy drinks or sugar or other stimulants to keep you going. You could find yourself more and more fantasizing about another way of life or reading books or watching videos on how do I make a change in my life. Or you could be looking for stories of other people who have made the move that you want to make. And if you've been ignoring those little tiny whispers of your soul and you haven't fed your inspiration for making a change, this is when Uranus can get louder and louder. You could feel it as restlessness or boredom and show up as a shock or a disruptive event, something that feels like it's rocking your world. Your spouse telling you that they want a divorce, or you telling your spouse the same thing. or something breaks in your house and it's a huge bill. Your car gets totaled. You get a health diagnosis. I don't want to scare anyone. I am not saying that Uranus is out to get you by any means. Uranus will, however, do what it needs to do to wake you up. Sometimes you are in a partnership and then you become wildly, passionately attracted to somebody else. Why? Because your relationship has been subtly losing steam, or you both have, really grown apart. But we're in relationship with everything, right? We're in relationship with our career or our job. We're in relationship with our health. We're in relationship with our money. So it could be anything. These are just examples. Yeah. Now remember, Uranus wants to free us. It brings us tremendous creative breakthroughs. It symbolizes genius and your brilliance. But it often begins with this feeling of I have to break free. And did you know that the midlife crisis, the famous midlife crisis, which often happens in our late 30s to mid 40s, that aligns with the Uranus opposition, transiting Uranus, opposing your natal Uranus. And as a teaching example, during my Uranus opposition to the month when I had my first pass of Uranus opposing my natal Uranus, at the time I was searching for my passion. And in the middle of the night, I had a dream that woke me up out of my sleep. It was that profound. And in my dream, I was doing stand-up comedy. And it was a shocking dream because I never would have done stand-up comedy without having had that dream. I felt so possessed by that dream that I felt like I have to go do this. This is a sign from the universe that I have to do it. And I had no idea how I was going to do it because I thought I had a good sense of humor, but I wasn't funny like that, like stand-up comedy funny. So I'm not going to say more. I tell the whole story in my book, The Magic of Saying Yes, but I give this to you as an example because the midlife crisis is often when people do suddenly wake up to the fact that their relationship has died, or they do have that feeling like, I gotta leave my job. They buy the quintessential red sports car. And that's just one Uranus transit. We also have what's called the Uranus square. We all have the Uranus square, transiting Uranus squaring our natal Uranus around age 21. And age 21, of course, that's when a lot of people are truly independent and they begin their own life free of their parents' influence. And then we have our second Uranus square around the ages of 62 to 64. It's different for everyone depending on your natal astrology chart. These are ballpark ages. Again, another teaching example. A few years ago, I had my second Uranus square, and that's when I moved to Mexico. A lot of people around that age want to retire. That's the traditional retirement age. Uranus is welling up inside of us around that time, around age 21 and somewhere around age 62, saying it is time to look at your life and get unstuck if you're stuck. If Uranus is making a conjunction to your ascendant, to your midheaven, which is your career point, to your descendant, which is your partnership point, or your IC, which is your home and family point, you could feel intensely inspired to create a change in your identity, in the roles that you play, to change your career, to do something that really brings you passion, to breathe new life into your relationship, or even to move. Even if you've always felt like this is where I want to be, this is where I want to live, I'm never leaving my home, that could change. Uranus can shock us. It can shock you. I never thought in my entire life, it never occurred to me that I would do stand-up comedy. I can tell you, when you have a Uranus transit, it feels like it does feel like the divine. I felt possessed. It can feel like something is coming from outside of you. It's not from outside of you. It is your soul. It is your spirit. But it can feel like, what happened? That's why we call Uranus the shocking planet. And it can feel very sudden. Other people around you can be like, what happened to that person? What got into them? Uranus is what got into you. Now, when Uranus turns retrograde, the energy tends to be felt more internally. I actually prefer a Uranus retrograde to a Uranus direct. Why? Because when it's retrograde, that's when we often are able to make inner changes that then fuel us to create outer change. We reflect more. We realize that maybe we have a block, an inner block, a limiting belief. Or we realize that while Uranus was direct, it was planting seeds for the change that we're ripe to make. And then when it goes retrograde, it's like a second chance. We realize, okay, now I'm ready to make that change. Now I'm ready to start taking steps on that change. So even though it's retrograde, it doesn't mean that it's not time to take action. You could now be ready to take action that you didn't take when Uranus was direct. And what I love about Uranus in Gemini specifically, because it's different depending on the sign that it's in Gemini, Gemini is the archetype of the magician, of the alchemist, where we can turn dross into gold. So it is very supportive of inner work. It is very supportive of seeing where we've been holding ourselves back, or where we've let our conditioning or our past experiences make us feel small or not equipped to manifest or say yes to our heart. And remember, with Uranus and Gemini, Gemini rules communication and thinking. It is a prime time for us to change our thoughts, to dig deeper inside and realize, why am I saying I can't do this? Why am I saying this is impossible? What belief inside of me must I have that I would say no to something that my heart truly wants? Because Gemini energy, Gemini has one foot in both worlds, the divine realm and this earthly world. So with Uranus and Gemini, we are able to bring down that inspiration. We're able to receive that jolt of energy. It often electrifies us. If you've been having trouble sleeping, if you felt like you did, I know this is trite, but a lot of us have felt this, like it does feel like you have put your finger in a socket, but it does temporarily amplify our nervous system. We really do have to ground our energy. Walks in nature are so important. Deep breaths, sitting on the floor rather than a chair or a couch, hugging a tree, putting your spine up against a tree. Lots of ways to do it. But Uranus and Gemini is reminding us that we are the co-creator of our life. Gemini rules our narrative, what we believe we can have, what we believe is possible for us. And if you don't believe that you have the resources, the time, energy, the money, the freedom to create what you want to create, then you are in good company. A lot of us don't. But that doesn't mean that we are meant to put the dream on the shelf. It means that we are meant to use the power of intention to declare that we are stepping into this new reality. And that takes faith, but it also takes us stepping into that Gemini alchemist archetype. And what do we have to lose? It does take a bit of boldness, but it reminds me of that Goethe quote, which is, whatever you can do or dream you can do, begin it now. Boldness has genius, power, and magic in it. And magic is a Gemini word. So we start with an intention. I am financially free. I am in a mutually loving relationship. I am at peace, feeling radiantly healthy and happy. I'm a business owner, feeling divine. You know what you want, my friend. You will find the perfect words that are coming from your heart, that are coming from your spirit. But recently I had the most burning desire. Uranus and Gemini is currently conjunct my Venus. I have to say that. And I have had the most burning desire for a specific thing. I'm going to keep it private. The most burning desire. And when I asked Spirit, because I write to Spirit and I teach you how to write to Spirit in my book, The Magic of Saying Yes, I was writing to Spirit and I was saying, how do I go about getting this in my life? And Spirit said, you just have to decide. You have to decide that you are doing this. You are doing it. You just decide. By deciding, by intending, without knowing the how, without knowing how it's going to happen, that's how the universe can come in and support us and meet us halfway. And that was very freeing to hear. And I'm saying, yes, I am deciding that this is going to be something I am doing. And one of the reasons I'm sharing this with you is that after I made that decision, I started getting all of these action steps from the divine. Do this, do this, do this, write this down, all of that. I was suddenly busy with things that I could have done when Uranus directly went into Gemini a few months ago. But I didn't have that inspiration. I didn't make that decision until now. And that is one of the beautiful powers, I think, of Uranus having turned retrograde. Uranus in Gemini is going to bring us, or is already bringing you, new information, new ideas to research. It is about gathering the resources, and it often comes in the form of new perspectives, new information, new ideas and possibilities that can come through conversations, through emails, through talking with friends, hiring advisors, and telling your story. Gemini rules our story, telling your story to another who can mirror back to you the power that you have, the truth that you have, the ability to co-create your life your way. And this is one of the things that I love doing for my clients in astrology consultations, is letting you know the gifts and the talents and what I see in your chart that support what your heart most wants. And oftentimes clients will say, I don't know what my passion is. And by the end of our hour or 90 minutes together, they do know, and they knew all along. But all of us can use that extra validation, and your soul's blueprint in your natal astrology chart is incredibly revealing and validating. And our human self often needs that. There's nothing wrong with that. Our human self grew up with a whole other way of seeing ourselves in our life that wasn't supportive, a lot of us. So who is most going to feel this transit of Uranus in Gemini retrograde? Uranus dipped into Gemini in July at 0 degrees. It has only gotten as far as 1 degree, and it's going to retrograde back to 0, and then it's going to retrograde back into Taurus for several months until it turns direct in Taurus. All of the dates are at the beginning of this part 1. So if you have planets or points between 0 and 3 degrees, or even 0 to 5 degrees of Gemini, or the other mutable signs, Sagittarius, Virgo, or Pisces, you have been and will continue to feel this transit more intensely than others. Or if you have planets or points between 0 and 2 degrees of the other air and fire signs, you could also be feeling this, maybe not so intensely, but feeling that restlessness or feeling that strong desire and excitement to make a change. I think I forgot to say excitement. Uranus can be incredibly stimulating, exciting, and just having you feeling almost giddy over the possibility of doing this thing that your heart really wants. Now, when Uranus was in Taurus, I want to say this briefly because Uranus will retrograde back into Taurus on November 7th. The focus was on finances and material security. Taurus is the master manifester. It brought volatile financial markets. It brought extreme weather, earthquakes and flooding and hurricanes. And a lot of us were very focused on our money, our finances, but we may not have changed our mindset about our material security. And now that Uranus is turning retrograde in Gemini, and Gemini rules our mindset and our communication and our limiting beliefs and how our thoughts influence what we think we can have, this is when you might be going back to look at, to do a deeper dive about your own thinking around what you desire. And I think it's really valuable, because you know I'm a coach too, I think it's really valuable to write down all of your reasons, and reasons could be excuses, right? I mean, reasons, they feel very real to us, so sometimes they have a point, but write down all the reasons why it may not feel possible to you to pursue or to break free from what you're ready to change in your life. Because Uranus brings workarounds, it brings creative breakthroughs, it brings our ability to see with new eyes, it can awaken us. It can literally feel like you're being catapulted into a new life. That's why we call it the quantum leap energy. So it is extremely powerful. And we can begin to, because Gemini is a storyteller, we can begin to, with Uranus retrograde in Gemini, write a whole new story that begins with, I'm saying yes to this. I don't know how it's going to happen, but I'm saying yes. I'm going to let the universe help me. Now, more clues to this transit, how this transit may play out for you. And these clues give us added support for what is going on. Uranus is conjunct Sedna. The story of Sedna, and there are a number of different versions, the story of Sedna is that her father rescued her from an abusive marriage. There was a wild storm. They left in a boat and they were at sea, and Sedna was tossed overboard. When she tried to climb back into the boat, rather than pulling her back in, her father, terrified that there wasn't room for the whole family now, and this is a gruesome image, so if you need to close your ears, her father slams on her hands, chops off her fingers so that she can't get back into the boat. But here's the magic, here's the power. Her fingers hatch into sea creatures, whales, dolphins, walruses, and she becomes the goddess of the ocean. She becomes the mother of all sea life. She rises to a new status. She has a new purpose. She has experienced a horrible maiming. She has experienced a deep emotional loss of betrayal. And yet it is that very experience that transforms her into a goddess and gives her a new reason for being. to mother all the ocean creatures. So with Uranus retrograde in Gemini conjunct Sedna in Gemini, you may also be feeling like the process of you claiming your new dream, claiming your story, maybe it started with a betrayal. Maybe it started with realizing that you are not in alignment with your family of origin, or that you have to go out, break free from something in your current situation, whether it's a job or a family or a relationship. For some of you, that may be part of your journey necessary to reclaiming your power. What is extremely supportive about Uranus retrograde in Gemini is the flow of energy between Uranus and Pluto retrograde in Aquarius, both Uranus and Pluto in air signs, sextiling Neptune in Aries, in fiery Aries, which does give us that boldness. It does give us that incredible inspiration and push to take a risk and try something, do something we didn't think we could do. To do the thing you think you cannot do, Eleanor Roosevelt. These three energies, Uranus, Pluto, and Neptune in Aries, create what is called a minor grand trine or a magic triangle. And I see it as light running through, almost like one of those strobe lights. And I always see it as green, but there's some magenta energy in there and some blue energy, the throat chakra. Now, just a heads up for everyone, just a few days before Uranus retrogrades back into Taurus, it is going to make an opposition to Mars on November 4th, 2025. If you have planets or points around 0 to 1 degree, some of you are going to feel this very strong push because Mars is a motivator. Mars is the planet of action and our drive. And sometimes it is conflict. Sometimes it is violence, I'm sorry to say. But opposing Uranus, that can be that lightning bolt that moves us emotionally, moves us physically to take a step that we maybe wouldn't have made otherwise. In the collective, it could be something quite disruptive. Oppositions are often events that we didn't see coming, and they happen from another person, an institution, someone in government, whoever the other happens to be. But remember, Uranus is the cosmic intelligence force of nature that moves us with the intention to free and liberate us. So a few tips for you. I've already shared a few, but I want to say take your heart's desire and your restlessness, if you're feeling that, or boredom, if you're feeling that, take it seriously. Be the observer, observe your own inner and outer dialogue, any walls that you have up for your own comfort. That's very natural. Don't try to do it by yourself if it feels overwhelming. Connect to the divine. Connect with a friend or a coach or an astrologer like myself to get support to do the thing you think you cannot do. Give yourself permission to reinvent yourself if that's what you want, or to change careers, or to retire or semi-retire, or to be financially free. Make a decision, decide. You don't have to know the how. The universe does have creative solutions for us. Gemini is the sign of magical synchronicities, and there are lots of tools for you in my book, The Magic of Saying Yes. But remember, my friend, it is your spirit that is guiding you forward. It is your spirit that is pulling you into your destiny. And so it is also your spirit that is going to be there for you, your angels, your guides, your ancestors, everything that the divine is pointing you in the direction of, that is going to help you to cross that abyss from where you are now to where you want to be. Okay, my beautiful friend, let us do the 12 sign readings now. I encourage you to watch your rising sign, but also your sun and moon signs, because they often have additional messages and themes that are accurate. And also you'll get more messages from the cards. So let's start with Gemini, because beautiful Gemini, this is your transit. Uranus is transiting in your sign. And I have my natal sun in Gemini, but also my Mercury and Venus. And right now, Uranus is on my Venus, and wow, do I feel electrified. I am very much feeling this energy. So if you are feeling it also, leave me a comment down below. I share who is feeling this most intensely, the degrees. It's the early degrees of Gemini. I share much more in the first part of this video. I encourage you, especially because you're a Gemini, to watch that part 1. I think a lot of you will be able to relate to it. And even if you have planets or points that are, a little bit further on, like I would say anywhere between 0 and 9 degrees of the first decan of your sign, you may be feeling this. So Gemini, where will you be feeling it? Many of you are ready for a change. It could feel like a big change. You may change your appearance in some way. You may want to change your clothes. You may want to change your physicality in some way. Like if you haven't been working out, you may want to start working out. If you have, you may, just change a routine that affects your vitality, your health, your physical body. You may want to change a role that you've been doing. And of course, we have roles in our professional, business, or work life, and we have roles in our personal life. So any of these, something could be happening with a relationship, any relationship in which you have the other person's back, they have your back, that feels more like a partnership. That's the 7th house. And that would mean that Uranus is opposing any planets or points in your 7th house, and that can really affect your relationships or somebody that's important to you in your life. A partner could be having a disruptive, catalytic change kind of experience that then you're feeling as well because you're close to that person. So a lot of you are reinventing yourself in some way. A lot of you want a new identity. It could be a new spiritual identity. It could be you as a business owner. It could be you changing a job. It could be you wanting to have a family if you haven't, if you want to give birth, or you get the idea. You get what I'm saying. Or maybe you decide that you thought you wanted a family and then you realize you actually don't want kids, and that's something that ends up being a big thing between you and your partner. So, it's anything that, this is the house of you, Gemini. This is the house of the I am, your identity. Whatever you say, I am, and you fill in the blank. Some of you could have an intense spiritual awakening that rocks your world, that changes your life, that changes your relationship, that changes your relationship to anything in your life that is very, very important to you because it's your first house. It could affect your career, your home, or any partnerships, whether they're business or your personal life. So gems, let us see what the cards have to say for you. Leave me a comment. Let me know if you're experiencing any of these kinds of changes. And, because as an example, because Uranus is conjunct my Venus right now, I'm feeling it in Venusian ways, checking up on my finances, my investments, making changes there. I could be feeling it in love and romance. We'll keep that part private. I could be feeling it in physical beauty, anything physical, and fun and pleasure. Yes, I know I need to have more fun for sure. And when Uranus makes a conjunction to any of our Gemini planets, which this would be, conjunctions can be felt quite intensely. They can go either way in the sense of you experience it as negative or you experience it as positive, or you could have a little bit of both. Okay, so gems, let me pull a card for you now. And we'll see what the cards have to say. For Gemini, sparkly Gemini, your card is Sisterhood of the Rose. It says beauty and devotion, the priestess, the mystic, the teacher. The priestess, the mystic, the teacher. You could awaken, you could have a spiritual awakening. You could awaken to the fact that you are a mystic, that you want to deepen your connection to the mystical, that you are a teacher. And Gemini energy is very much, teaching, education kind of energy, the coaches, the teachers. But also there's the sisterhood, which, Geminis are connected to siblings, and the lovers, gathering together with others. Gemini, as the sign that you are, how important connection is to you. I have a separate video for you, by the way, on each of the signs on your superpower. And I talk at length about the different things that a lot of Geminis have related to that video. So you might want to check that out as well. And the priestess is also another archetype, another energy that you might relate to. And this may also be saying, connect with the priestess, your own high priestess, your own divine feminine. That may take you into a higher sense, higher connection with the divine. Beautiful gem. If anything that I shared resonates with you and you want to leave a comment, Let me know down below. I'd love to hear. Taurus. Hello, beautiful Taurus. Taurus, you are going to experience this retrograde of Uranus and Gemini retrograding in your second house of material security, self-love, self-worth, the sense that you deserve whatever your heart most desires. This is where you're going to experience it. So what does this mean? It means that there's a more internal focus, or you could be feeling more restless or bored with how you make your money, how much money you do make. You could really be ready for a change in something that makes you feel materially secure. And I know for a lot of us, that can be a lot of different things. Taurus, you generally, this is a generalization, but generally Taurians like the finer things in life. They do receive some security from building around them things. You know, it can be your home, it can be your car, it can be your bank account, it can be, you know, the things that give you earthly pleasure. And, you know, why do we come to this earth? I joke about that because why do we come? I think that our souls really want to expand and evolve, but I like to joke that we came here to experience the deliciousness of life. And I know that you can relate to that, Taurus. So a retrograde is often when we are reflecting and refining and really, and it can be a second chance at, you know, understanding what we most need now. It's your values too, the second house. What are your values now? Have they shifted? Some of you during a retrograde, sometimes it's very practical. We sell a car, you know, we decide we want to change something in our home. We do figure out another way to change our income, whether it's a side gig, or some of you could be retiring. Some of you could be experiencing a deep self-love sort of welling up you could be having a lot of epiphanies and understandings about where you didn't get your needs met, your emotional needs, for example, or your physical needs met as a child. It could be that too. You could be having a lot of awarenesses, epiphanies, realizations that motivate you to do what we call shadow work, healing on anything. And this could have to do with your sense of what you feel you're worthy of. And a lot of times these are very subconscious beliefs, right? Subconscious beliefs. We don't even know a lot of times that we feel that we need to earn our worth, for example, or that we feel that it's hard, you know, making money is hard. You know, there are all these beliefs that we can have around money, and they could definitely come up for you during this transit, since this is the house of your earned income, but it wants to break you free from any of those limitations, and especially limitations of the mind, Gemini energy. So Taurus, what does your heart most desire now? If you are excited and really desiring a change, but you don't know how, you can make that change. I really strongly encourage you to watch part 1 of this video, where I do my very best to inspire and empower you to think about it in a new way and to decide that you are going to have what your heart most wants. That is the beginning of getting the universe to show up and meet us halfway, or your guides, or, you know, your own higher self. Taurus, let's see what the cards have to say for you. Taurus, your card is the Pleiades. You have a double mission, channeling and uplifting humanity, Taurus. What a gorgeous card. Check it out. It is so Uranian in the sense of these people levitating. Is that not so cool? Wow. There's so much blue and purple. Purple is the crown chakra. The blue is the throat chakra, your mindset, how you think about yourself, how you see yourself. Can you imagine that you could levitate? I mean, that is so Uranus. You have a purpose to uplift others. What a cool card. Some of you relate to the Pleiades, having come from there, being a Pleiadian. But also channeling divine wisdom. So if you want to claim that you are a channeler, that you are an uplifter, or whatever else you want to claim, in the comments below, leave me a comment, beautiful Taurus. I would love to hear. Aries. Hello, beautiful Aries. Aries, you will experience Uranus retrograding, are experiencing Uranus retrograde. It happened on September 6th. In your third house of, it's the Gemini house, mindset, communication, siblings, relationships with siblings, aunts, uncles, and cousins. It is the house, I like to call it moving and shaking, because it's our local environment, our neighbors, and the people that we, have these conversations on the fly with that often tend to be can be conversations that where we get little bits. It's like the universe speaks to us in so many different ways, right? We hear somebody say this, it can be the overhearing, it can be that unexpected conversation in line, waiting to get your coffee, or chatting with the checkout person. There's so many different ways it can happen, but it's a magical energy. Uranus in Gemini. It is so mercurial, and the third house is ruled by Mercury. So this is a time to be really open to new ideas, new possibilities. Take those short trips, take those long weekends, the excursions for a day, the adventures. Some of you, this is relating to freelance work, relating to you having your own business, to creating a website, putting a message out there, learning, teaching, writing, your devices, your vehicles, all of these things are connected, socializing more. But you could find that you're very, very busy during this time. You have a lot of things you're doing, errands and appointments, and it could feel a bit overwhelming. Your nervous system could definitely be amplified, Aries. So if you feel like grounding your energy is challenging, all the ways that we can ground ourselves. Walks in nature and deep breaths, meditation, moving, getting the energy out. Lots of different ways. Aries, sometimes I just yell in my car. Of course, not with anyone else there, but sometimes I'm just like, and I just get it out. And of course, we always feel better when we do that. Or a breath. A lot of different ways to do it. So Aries, you could really get some epiphanies during this time. And some of you may realize, I don't want to live here anymore. I don't like this area anymore. It's not in alignment with my vibration. I'm not going to go to that cafe anymore. I don't want to work with that personal trainer. I need a different yoga teacher. All those things could be coming up for you as well. My belief system needs a shift. The ninth house, it's across from the third house. It rules our spiritual beliefs and our philosophies. So you could find that shifting as well. Because the opposite house, there's often energy that moves back and forth between, on that axis. And that's can be triggered by a Uranus transit as well. If Uranus is triggering any planets or points in your third house or your ninth house. So let's see what the cards have to say for you, Aries. Aries, it's getting really dark. I wish I had better lighting, but I really wanted to get this video out for you guys. And this card is really interesting. It says, this is so Uranus, the crumbling. Something is crumbling in some of your lives. It says, what are you clinging on to? This is a Uranus card if I've ever seen one. There is a tower here. There is lightning on the sides. You can't make this stuff up, but look what's inside. Every tower moment, our human selves are usually terrified of tower moments. Now, I know some of you are going to be like, I like the tower. Beautiful. Inspire us. Tell us what you love about it. It's true that often Uranus moments can be tower moments. They can disrupt, shock, throw us temporarily into discombobulation. But all of that is often what we need to have our wake-up call, right? The wake-up call that then leads to the freedom and the liberation. And what's happening is, as something is crumbling, a new garden is growing. New light is streaming through. So, beautiful Aries, is anything crumbling for you right now? I know that's so hard. In my book, I call it unraveling. To me, it feels like an unraveling. It's a part of you that is, if this is happening for you, not everyone will be able to relate to this, because it will have to be activating planets or points in your natal astrology chart. Something I can obviously analyze for you in an astrology consultation, but For some of you, if you are being activated in your natal chart, it's asking you what you're clinging to. Great question for getting clear on what is ready to open up for you, what you're ready to release so that you can begin to grow that garden from the roots within you, beautiful Aries, all the way up to your crown, your inner garden. Your inner garden is going to flourish as a result. Pisces, hello, beautiful Pisces. Pisces, you are going to experience this transit of Uranus retrograde in Gemini in your 4th house of home, family, inner child healing, inner child conditioning, ancestral healing. This is the bottom point of our chart. It's the most personal point of the chart. So to have a Uranus retrograde here, so Uranus has already begun its journey in your 4th house, just dipped into the 4th house for you. This is all based on the whole sign house system. And that was an introduction to change, if it's activating your natal chart, to change that is ready to happen for you within your own sense of rootedness or belonging, or a need to move, physically move, a need to release something around the conditioning that you were exposed to as a child. Something to do with a family member. It could be healing a relationship with a family member. It could be setting new boundaries with a family member. It could be doing some healing on your mother line or your ancestral line. So if you feel a need to change your, could be somebody in your home is moving out, somebody in your home is moving in, or you're moving out. Some change in your career is also possible because your 4th house is across from your 10th house of career. So it could be a change in your, some of you could be retiring, some of you could be changing your work, some of you could be asking, what is my passion? What is my vocation? You could feel a deep, deep desire to find a sense of home and belonging within yourself or within a passion that is in alignment with your soul, beautiful Pisces. So let's see what the cards have to say for you. If you're feeling restless, that's one of the symptoms. I give all the symptoms of Uranus transits in the first part of this video. Pisces. Your card is break the chain. You can't make this stuff up. Ancestral patterns, healing, rewriting the future. I mean, I love it when this happens. So it's saying break the chain. It's time to break the chain. There is a cave. There is a beautiful goddess that's moving toward the cave. If you feel like you are hermiting right now, Pisces, I know that Saturn just retrograded in your sign. I have a separate video for you on that, and I will do a video on Saturn retrograding and Neptune retrograding back into your sign as well. It is a very important time for you for all the reasons I talk about in the Saturn retrograde in Pisces video. So you may feel like you're going back into a cave, but some of you are going to heal or do some last healing on an ancestral pattern, ways that you've held yourself back based on what you were exposed to as a child. And this is the time to rewrite your future, which is Gemini energy, a new story, the future, Uranus pulling you forward. If you want to claim that you are ready to heal and rewrite your future, that is gorgeous, 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 beautiful Pisces. Leave me a comment. I would love to hear. Aquarius, Aquarius, beautiful Aquarius. You are going to experience or are experiencing the Uranus retrograde in Gemini in your 5th house of true love and romance, children, and your own creative spark, creative projects. Fun, pleasure, the things that we do to light up our own inner child. So it's a retrograde. There's an internal pulling in or wonderful epiphanies and aha moments and realizations about what you're ready to change, what you're ready to release. This could be releasing a thought pattern around love and romance. It could be where you've had walls up and you're letting a wall down. It could be a shift or change with children in your life, or children, people that you know that have children, or your own inner child. giving yourself more permission to creatively express. Maybe you're going back to a creative project that you have put on hold and you're, putting it out into the world, or you're getting something going again, or you're just now committing to yourself to have more fun. What I love about a Uranus retrograde in the 5th house, well, first of all, it can bring in a lot of, or at least a new relationship. It doesn't have to be romantic, but it can be something that breaks you free in a certain way. It really can be a breaking open of the heart in positive, powerful ways. Or it can be that you've been dating somebody and there was an attachment there and that relationship breaks up, and that breaks your heart open in a different way. Children can break your heart open. So Aquarius, Uranus in the 5th house in Gemini is encouraging you to be more social if you haven't been. It's encouraging you to think outside the lines of any mental constructs. It's encouraging you to tap into the divine genius and intelligence and creativity that you are known for, Aquarius. I mean, your co-ruler is Uranus. You're very comfortable, most of you, in Uranus energy. And, expanding by entertaining things that you do just for fun, making art just for fun, making love just for fun. Okay, Aquarius, let's pull a card for you. Your card is Answer the Call. Uranus is a call of the soul, no question. It says, what is your soul calling you to do? What is your soul calling you today to do? There she is by a river, contemplating in this gorgeous, gorgeous scenery. You are the water bearer, Aquarius. There's the water there. The mountains, Saturn, your co-ruler. A new dawn of light. There's a new dawn that's opening up for you. But the question is, what is calling you to it? And it's time to answer the call. It is time to answer the call of your soul. Aquarius, if you did not listen to, I know I sound so bossy now. If you didn't listen to the first part of this video, I give you some examples of Uranus transits where I did scary things. And also I do my very best to inspire you to just say yes, even when you don't know if you can achieve it, because that's how the divine enters in and helps us, picks up the slack and takes us from, being partway there to the finish line. So if you're ready to answer the call, let us know in the comments below. I would love to hear. Capricorn. Hello, beautiful Capricorn. Capricorn, you are being called into a positive change in your 6th house of daily work, lifestyle, your health, your habits, optimal health, wellness, your routines. Something has probably already begun to get shaken up in your daily work. Your work could have changed. You could have or be ready to leave a work situation. You could be doing something different in your health routines, whether that's eating or exercise. You could be healing something physically, mentally, emotionally. You could be really wanting to use your energy differently. You could want a whole new lifestyle, a whole new way of life. Some of you could be done with work. You could be done with working for somebody. That happened to me after my Pluto opposition moon transit. I just said, I am never working for another person again. And I haven't, but I had to decide. And that is my main message for this whole video for everyone. We have to decide first. We have to decide first what we are done with, and we have to decide what we are stepping into without knowing how we're going to make it happen. And that is a tall order for our mind, for the ego, for our human self. But that's when the magic, the synchronicities, the signs, the power, that's when we find our true power. That's when, we get the ideas for how we can make it happen. If we don't, it's the necessity is the mother of invention, right? If we don't have the need, we're not going to get the inspiration and the resources that we need. Capricorn, okay. Let me pull a card for you now and see what the cards have to say. Sometimes something breaks with Uranus energy. What could break in the situation in the 6th house could be You're breaking up with your lifestyle. You're breaking up with your work. You're breaking up with a work environment or a boss. That could happen too. There could be something that happens with a coworker that makes you have that decision of no more with this job. Or you decide you're going to go have a talk with a supervisor or the head of your company and say, this is what I have to offer. This is what I want to do differently. This is how much money I want to make. Are you in? Okay, Capricorn. Your card is the Mirror. Who or what is triggering you? I love these cards because they ask really good questions. So you are being asked to look at your own reflection. Do you see the Gemini twins here? Your ethereal self, your higher self, and your human self. Your higher self will reflect back to you when you tune into your own emotions, your anger, some of you, your frustration, some of you, your sadness, some of you, when you tune into what is triggering you emotionally right now in your life, you will get, especially if you ask for them, divine messages, divine support that helps you to understand what is going on with you on a deep level so that you can clear the energy. It is time to clear any emotional stagnation. Uranus helps us clear stagnation. Emotional, physical, it could be clutter in your house too. It could be any kind of clutter. We can have emotional, mental, we can have physical clutter, we can have computer clutter, right? You are ready. The time is right for you to see the truth of something that you didn't see before. Beautiful Capricorn, if what I'm sharing, this is an awakening, this is a breakthrough for you. This is a breakthrough. All the roses, the water. None of us want to be told that we have healing to do or shadow work to do. None of us want to be told that. We're like, oh, just tell me something good. Just tell me something how my life is going to change, right? But we know this on a deep level. It's through the clearing of what's in the way that an opening is created and created for what our hearts most want. Beautiful Capricorn, let me know in the comments below if anything I shared resonates. If you'd like to share, I would love to hear. Sagittarius, Sagittarius, beautiful Sagittarius. Beautiful Sag. This is really funny because Uranus is the great awakener, but it can also cause breakages, right? Things can drop on the floor and break. Things can just snap with Uranus energy. And here I am doing this video, channeling the Uranus energy. So far, what you guys didn't see is that I dropped my water glass, spilled all over. It didn't break, thankfully. I broke my glasses. I picked them up and piece snapped off of them. And this was all while I was doing this video. So I always find these things really fascinating. Now, Sag, you are experiencing this Uranus retrograde in Gemini in your 7th house of partnership. As most of you know, Gemini is across the zodiac wheel from you, and that puts Gemini energy into your 7th house of partnership. So this means change. Uranus transiting through any house means changes. And for you, that's changes in something to do with partnering. Now, not everybody has a romantic partner, but some of you have business partners, some of you have close friends, some of you have people in your life that fall into that partnership house, especially if you are spending a lot of time with them. And what is the difference between Uranus, going through direct in this house for you or retrograding back? Well, retrograding back, it's going back over the degrees that it has already been. What does that mean for us? It means that we are often reviewing what Uranus was already nudging us to do when it was direct. We're reviewing that. We're going back over. We're getting a second chance to take action. We're getting epiphanies. We're opening up to the possibility, whereas before maybe we weren't. Maybe earlier in July or even before that, because a lot of us felt this energy even before Uranus went into Gemini, you could have had multiple times of thinking, I really want this, and then just being like, but I can't have it. Or, I'm too this, I'm too old, I don't have enough information, I don't have the money, all the things that are, human mind comes up with, reasons why we can't have something. But now with Uranus going back over these degrees again, because you are one of the ones that's more affected, especially if you have planets or points between 0 and 3 degrees, maybe more, of your sign, you could be feeling, or any of the mutable signs in your chart, you could be feeling this a real strong need for change, or someone important in your life could be going through their own changes, and those changes are affecting you. So, but what this transit is saying is, if you don't have a partner and you want a partner, this is the time to envision it. This is the time to put yourself out there. This is the time to put yourself in situations where you can meet people. If you do have a partner and something in your partnership is not right, it's not in flow, there's something about it that you just know deep down. This is a deep down in the heart transit. This is a soul level knowing. We know, when we wake up to something, we wake up to something. We can be completely asleep, have no idea, and then one day something happens and we wake up to the fact that, oh my gosh, my relationship, it's not what I thought it was. Or, our relationship, in my case, it was my relationship died a long time ago. But did I know that until I woke up to it? No. It can feel like night and day. It can feel like night and day. So, and I do have a whole chapter in my book about the unraveling that I went through, my own inner unraveling. And that, for me, my relationship was part of that unraveling. So everybody's different. Some of you will relate to that. Some of you won't. That could help support some of you if you are relating to it. It could be because the 7th house is an angle of your chart. It could have to do more with your own identity, a role or a job, or something you've always, done, or something you've always wanted to do could be at play. It could be connected to your career. It could be connected to your home and family, or your relationships, or a relationship. So, Sag, if you're feeling restless, if you're feeling bored, if you're feeling like something is breaking in your life, or your heart's breaking open, then this is a really good time to get support and to acknowledge it and to take it seriously. Not to be serious, but to take it seriously, to take your desire, your needs, your awakening seriously, so that Uranus doesn't have to give you a louder message, which is okay. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just harder to go through that. Okay, Sag. And I'm not saying that to scare anyone. I want to make that clear. Like, everybody will go through these transits differently, and you may not be being activated right now in your natal chart yet. So it depends on when Uranus is getting closer to your natal planets or points, and we're all different sensitivities, so we all feel it at different times. This is something I can, of course, help you with in an astrology consultation. Sag, let's see what the cards have to say for you. Ooh, I'm going to put on my broken glasses so I can see this better. You can all get a good laugh, because check it out. Literally one side is off. Okay, Akasha. This is talking, they're crooked. This is, now I feel like a comedian. This is talking about the Akashic records. Wow. Your guidance is divinely guided. Oh my gosh. I love this card so much. You might want to do a meditation where you go into the Akashic records. Wow. Look at this. What a mystical divine card, going through the cloud. This is you ascending to the heavenly realms for in your imagination, in a meditation, to go into this hall of the Akashic records. Whatever guidance you get or have gotten, this is saying it's coming from your own divine guidance. Honor it, beautiful Sag. If you want to claim this, if you want to claim that you are divinely guided, let us know in the comments below. I would love to hear. Scorpio. Hello, beautiful Scorpio. Scorpio. You are experiencing Uranus retrograde in your 8th house of power and control, emotional attachments, emotional and sexual intimacy, those deep, deep desires that we have, passion, sometimes jealousy, sometimes Dependencies. We don't even know that we're dependent on some of these things at times. It's our investments. It's our money. It's a money house. It's a money and a relationship house. It's the money that we share, time, money, resources we share with others. So often it's business partners or romantic partners, spouses, significant others that, they're going through changes. Their financial situation is changing. Our financial situation could be changing, or we're negotiating with a partner. Maybe we have different, so often in partnerships, our values are different enough that we want to spend money on different things, or that we disagree on how, we should invest our money. There's lots of different ways it can play out. But some of that could be coming up for you during this transit. Uranus through the 8th house sometimes means that, it can go either way. It can be you're getting a windfall of money. It can be that, your investments are not currently. We have had such a volatile financial market, and Scorpio, you were one of the ones most affected because Uranus in Taurus for so long was opposing you. So you could be going through a regrouping right now as it has to do with your finances. Some of you could be dividing up assets if, you have severed a partnership. You could be going through a change in your partnership in terms of your emotional or your physical intimacy. But big picture, this transit, any Uranus transit, and especially going through the 8th house of transformation, death, and rebirth, is really an awakening kind of transformation. Some of you could have a Kundalini awakening. I think a Kundalini awakening, where we feel it in the root chakra, it comes all the way up our body. It's such an incredible physical experience. And then a mental and emotional one as well. I think it's one of the most powerful experiences that we can have. And often that can get triggered by things like meditation and yoga, but also it can be triggered by an attraction to another person. Sometimes people, they have affairs, and the person that they have an affair with, they have the Kundalini awakening through that experience. The soul will do, and I'm not passing judgment on any of it. I don't recommend an affair. I'm not going to recommend that because I think it's very painful for everyone involved, almost universally. But sometimes the soul will orchestrate that so that we wake up to the fact that our relationship needs attention, or that we maybe have come to a completion of a relationship. It's different for everyone, of course, but sometimes the soul, oftentimes I've seen this in a lot of work that I've done with clients. The soul will do anything it can to wake us up if we're not waking up in other ways. And I know it can be extremely passionate and extremely painful, both. So Scorpio, not everyone's going to experience that. There are so many different ways you could experience this. But it will be a deep dive kind of shadow work for some of you, new awarenesses, with the whole goal of freeing and liberating you in any of these areas of your life, financially or in a partnership. So Scorpio, let's see what the cards have to say for you. Scorpio, your card is the initiation, a soul initiation, rite of passage, crossing the threshold. Look at the Uranus lightning here. Wow. Wow, 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 wow. Wow. I mean, this is going through a shadowy area. Some of you could be coming through a dark night of the soul. Some of you could have had a tower moment. We associate tower moments with Uranus. But you're moving through this darkness out of the cave into this purple, which purple is associated with the crown chakra, with a new higher consciousness. And there's a beautiful blue ocean here. The water of you, Scorpio. You're walking through this, what could feel like a narrow passage for you right now. Walking through this into this higher consciousness. This feels like a spiritual awakening card for sure. An initiation, a soul initiation. If you want to claim your initiation or your awakening, let us know in the comments below. Scorpio, anything else you want to share? What a perfect card for this transit for you. Libra, hello, beautiful Libra. Libra, you are having your Uranus retrograde transit in your ninth house of expansion. The ninth house is it's a house of awakening in and of itself. It is where we yearn for change and new scenery. This is why long distance travel gets thrown in here, because it's foreign excursions. New scenery always opens us up to a new perspective. It is higher learning, courses that we take, new philosophies, releasing beliefs, releasing limiting beliefs, releasing sometimes oppressive upbringings, oppressive religions sometimes, or it can just be where you are teaching or you're learning, you're, creating a YouTube channel, you're doing a podcast, you're learning from podcasts, you're learning from, listening to other people in whatever form that takes. Some of you are publishing something, you want to publish something, you want to start expressing what you know to be true that lights you up, that enthusiasm. Enthusiasm is the ninth house word that you want to share with others. So, big picture, Uranus here could have you doing some sort of travel that's like, I want to live here, I want to move here. That could happen for some of you. Or you could be doing a spiritual retreat, a silent retreat, maybe something that you haven't done before. Usually Uranus opens us up to new experiences. So Libra, I'm just looking at the words, just noticing if anything else comes to me. Some of you are teachers, some of you are spiritual leaders, and you are already doing it, but some of you haven't expressed in that way before, and you're ready to. If you've never done a podcast, you've never done, I had a radio show before I did my YouTube channel. I had a radio show years ago called Just Say Yes, and I loved doing it, but it was the first time I had done anything like that, and it was definitely scary. And it's coming to me, I think, to hopefully inspire some of you that fear just means that you haven't done it before. Oftentimes, fear just means that you're answering the call of your soul. You exhilarated fear. I use the expression exhilarated fear in my book. Exhilarated fear is a clear sign that we're ready to expand and we're ready to do the thing that we think we cannot do. Eleanor Roosevelt, and this is the house of expansion where Uranus is retrograding. So don't be surprised if you get some real insights or epiphanies or something that rock your world even, or just tip you over the edge from I don't think so to yes. Okay, Libra, let's see what the cards have to say for you. Libra. Align your life. Okay, I have to put my broken glasses on, which broke while I was doing this video, and breaking is a Uranus kind of thing. A chance to laugh at myself and show you guys the imperfections. It says, what is not aligned or needs to change? And what I love about this card is it's like pieces of her. There's a new self that wants to emerge. There's a new soul essence that is emerging from her. And so, what do most of us do? I'm going to take these off now. What do most of us do as children? We have coping methods. We figure out ways to show different sides of ourselves to different people. We have pieces of us sometimes that we push down, we make them dormant, we disown parts of ourselves. And this card is showing you the different parts of self. And it's saying that your soul and your spirit are ready to feel fully aligned. You are fully aligning the different parts. You're bringing the different parts together into more wholeness. And there's an alignment with your values, those parts of self, to your life that is a call for you. And it's asking you what needs to change. What is not aligned? What needs to change? If that isn't Uranian, I don't know what is. If you want to leave me a comment or us a comment to share how you feel about this card or anything else I've shared in this message. This is a call for you, a call to adventure. That's the ninth house. It's a call to adventure. Are you feeling that, Libra? If you are, let us know. You guys are artists. You guys are designers. You are so creative in so many ways. You love joining with others, you know, whether it's one-on-one or community. These are generalizations, but they're often true about Librans. And you could partner with the divine too. So beautiful Libra, I'd love to hear if you want to share. This can be quite an exciting transit for you, especially because Gemini energy trines your energy. Very supportive, Libra. Virgo. Hello, beautiful Virgo. Virgo, you are experiencing this Uranus transit and Uranus turning retrograde in Gemini in your 10th house of career, profession, how you spend your time. If you're retired, it's just how you spend your days. Some of you could be ready to change your work. Some of you could be ready to retire or semi-retire. Some of you, you know, if freedom isn't your battle cry right now, I would be very surprised, especially, keep this in mind, if you have planets or points between 0 and 3 degrees, maybe a little bit more, of your sign or the other mutable signs, you will be feeling this more intensely. If not, you may not be feeling it yet. But you are meant to be freed to be able to choose how you spend your work days or your days, period. I know not all of you work, but passion is calling. Passion is calling. And before you decide that you don't know what your passion is, I really am going to challenge you. I mean, as your coach, as your astrologer, I'm going to challenge you to ask yourself, what would I do if time, money, or resources weren't an issue? If I could choose what I wanted, what would I say yes to? Because, and I give you a lot of those kinds of exercises in my book, The Magic of Saying Yes, but a lot of you are ready to move into a vocation, to leave a job, to leave a career and move into a vocation that is in alignment with your heart, in alignment with your purpose, because this is the house of life purpose expressed also. And a Uranus transit there, especially if Uranus is getting close to your midheaven, or maybe it's already passed through your midheaven, is moving through your 10th house. Midheaven is career point. That restlessness, that sense of I can't keep doing this, that just gets louder and louder. Because you deserve to free yourself, beautiful Virgo, and you're not doing it alone. There is help all around you. You have spiritual help. You have people like me who can help you. There are people all around you, and signs and synchronicities and, you know, the divine that is ready to usher you forward into your freedom. So let's see what the cards have to say for you. And I know leaving your comfort zone is not easy. It's not easy for any of us to leave our comfort zone. So I just really want to acknowledge that as well. And your card is Soul Family. Call in your tribe. You don't have to do it alone. Oh my gosh, I was just saying that. And you know what I love about this card is it's very Gemini. The twins, the dolphins, there's a lightness to this energy, the sea animals. There are whales here. You know what's so interesting is that I told the story of Sedna and how Uranus in Gemini is conjunct Sedna. And what does that mean for this transit? I tell that in part 1. So you guys really, if you haven't watched part 1, definitely go back and listen to it. It's towards the end of part 1 where I talk about the role of Sedna's story and what that brings in for us. It's another part of the story that you might be able to relate to. But Sedna became the mother of all sea life, the goddess of the oceans, and she did so by going through some very, very challenging loss. So yeah, I'm not going to repeat the story here, but I think a lot of you might be able to get some comfort from that story, some inspiration, reclaiming your power, rising up to your next role, and Soul Family is going to help you get there. I have a meditation on attracting Soul Family on my YouTube channel. All of my meditations are in a playlist, and that playlist is linked in the description box below. Beautiful Virgo, if you want to claim that you have found your tribe, that you are connected to Soul Family or the dolphins or the whales or anything else, let us know in the comments below. Leo, hello, beautiful Leo. Leo, you are experiencing Uranus retrograde in Gemini in your 11th house. This is the house of fulfillment. Uranus going through your 11th house can bring changes to your relationships, your friendships, especially any communities that you're involved in or have been involved in, any kind of organizations, online connections that you have, soul family. There could be a change here. For example, if you have been in a community, if you've gone to a church and you decide, Uranus can break us free of things. If you decide that doesn't align with my vibration anymore, you could cut ties to that. You could stop attending. You could have changes. When Uranus went through my 11th house, I had so many changes in friendship. It can be painful, but when it's happening, we usually, and there's always a grief process on a human level, but when we see what's going on with the astrology, especially, we can know, and this is what I love about astrology, we can know that, we're usually, it's us. If you're on a spiritual path and you are devoted to your growth, you have outgrown that relationship in some way, or sometimes the other person has outgrown it. You're going your separate ways. Your soul contract is complete, or you could come back together. That can happen. I think we're all going to come back together in the spirit realm, but we don't know. We don't know what's going to happen, right? But I just want to say that because my experience of my Uranus 11th house transit was that I had, I would meet people that I would just be like, oh, this is a fun new friend, and then they would be gone as quickly as they came in. But part of that is because we're meant to be sparked. Our enthusiasm, our growth is meant to be sparked by people, but those are not always relationships that are meant to last. They're little earth angels, or we're being their earth angel. So you get the idea. Where else could you have change? Because Uranus is the change maker, you could have epiphanies around something that you want to promote or brand. Your long-term financial gains, investments could change in some way, or you could get inner guidance on those. You could get a new sense of what would bring you fulfillment. It's the World card in the tarot, so that is a complete full circle ending, completion, and stepping out into the world in a new way. For some of you, that could mean that you travel more, or that you do move to someplace you never thought you would live. It can be a foreign place. This isn't the house of foreign lands, but it is the world. And so the world opens this up to everything. We're meant to open up to all possibilities, especially with a Uranus 11th house transit, and to find love and support with like-minded people. And sometimes there can be a void, and you find that with the divine, you find that with spirit. Or like in 2020, for me, I was FaceTiming a lot with my daughter, and we were doing breath work together. We were doing like a Kundalini breath work exercise together over FaceTime. So lots of ways that you can create that for yourself. But with an 11th house transit, we often do need people. We do need to find some way to create some community, even if that's just one other person, so that we feel supported. Beautiful Leo. I love this transit for you. You get a sextile from Uranus energy in Gemini. It's that air of Gemini to your fire. So you could really have new things sparking. And this is a great transit for doing online dating or meeting other people online in some way. They may not be relationships that last forever, but it doesn't mean they can't be. Leo, let's see what the cards have to say for you. Leo. Keepers of the earth. You are not alone. Another message, another card was talking about not being alone. It says, ancient ancestors stand beside you. Yes, yes, yes. Check out the image of this card. Angels praying to the divine. Your higher self. You are not alone. You are not meant to do this journey alone. You are one of the keepers of the earth. You may relate to being an environmentalist, or relate to, being very concerned about the welfare of Mother Earth, or the welfare of animals, or all of the above. And this is clearly showing you that there's your own higher self, spirit helpers, guardian angels, and so on, ancestors perhaps, that are wanting you to get in touch with them, wanting you to rely on them more, wanting you to deepen your relationship with them. Beautiful Leo, if anything that I shared resonates and you want to leave a comment, I love your comments. I would love to hear. Cancer. Hello, beautiful Cancer. Cancer. You and I both, if you're Cancer rising, are having this Uranus transit, Uranus retrograding as well, in your 12th house. I have my moon and my rising in Cancer, by the way. So, what a place to have a Uranus transit. I would love to hear from you how it's going for you. My own experience is that it can be quite awakening. This is what I love about a Uranus 12th house transit. We can really have some beautiful awakening experiences. My dreams have been so intense. They have been very active. A need for more rest or naps occasionally during the day because of that. This is a very electrifying. I'm finding it very electrifying, but then it's conjunct my Venus in the 12th house, so that's part of it too for me. But if you do have any planets or points in your 12th house in Gemini and they're getting activated by Uranus right now, then you know what I'm talking about. It's very amplifying to our nervous system. So we need extra care, of course, to ground the energy, and however you do that, Cancer. It's the house of rest and retreat. It's the house of renewal. A lot of Cancers need that rest right now, especially because of this amplified energy. It activates the nervous system. But you could be so ready, Cancer, to do something that is out of this world inspiring to you. You could be so ready to make a big change in your life. Let me know if that's true for you. I love hearing your experiences. You could have crazy nighttime dreams. Like I know I just mentioned dreams, but also I did during a past Uranus transit. I talked about this in part one of this video. I had a nighttime dream that completely changed my life. I talk about that in my book as well as in part one. You could have out-of-body experiences, astral travel, journeys into the Akashic records. Deep meditations could be really helpful for you right now. You could feel very ready to break through any limiting beliefs. The subconscious mind is part of the 12th house energy. Our inner narrative, what we think is possible for us, what isn't, based on our conditioning, often based on past lifetimes. You could be realizing something limiting in your mindset and your conditioning that is now being brought to your awareness so that you can break free of it. And it could have to do with anything that is important to you. It could be anything. It could be love, money. It could be your job. It could be profession, life purpose. Anything could be coming to you. Cancer could have to do with your mother, could have to do with your emotional needs being met or not met as a child. This is all Cancer energy, the mother line. So this is a profound transit. You will not be the same when this transit is over. And in particular, because it's a retrograde, you could find more of those aha moments, more of your inspiration being sparked, because we're being prepared right now. We already had Uranus go over these degrees. And now, that those little glimmers of possibility that came at the beginning of this Uranus transit, this is for those of you who are being activated in your natal chart by this transit. Not everybody is. But for those of you who are, those little possibilities, glimmers that maybe came even before Uranus entered Gemini. Now, Uranus going back over those is saying, now it's time to take this seriously. Now it's time to really open up to the possibility of this, to decide that you can have it, which I go into at more length in part one. So, Cancer, I did this the other day. I decided I'm having this, I'm doing this, and it's exhilarating. It's exhilarating to just make that decision. We don't have to know how yet. We don't have to know how. We're not meant to have to do that alone. That is what that's part of being a spiritual being, right? Is to have that assistance from the divine. But we do have to commit, intend, and decide first. Okay, so Cancer, let's see what our card is. Cancer. Cancer. Ooh, it says, don't dim to fit in. How are you dimming your light in order to fit in? Wow. Check out the card. Look at all the pink. I love the pink. To me, that is, gosh, there's different things coming up for me. When I first saw this card, I thought, this looks like a priest, like the scarf that priests wear. So I feel like there is a real sort of high priestess kind of vibe to this card. And then look at this triangle here and these rays of light. There's definitely a spiritual awakening here, but we have to decide first that we're ready to come out more in our authentic self. And that can be, the 12th house is the house. Somebody told me once, because I have a stellium in the 12th house, they said, you could be the crazy lady. And I am to some people. I know I am. When I sing, for example, some people are like, don't sing all the stuff, they think that, oh, I don't like it when you sing. But that's okay, because I have a stellium in the 12th house. The 12th house gives us even more permission to be authentic and true to our quirky nature. And that is what this transit is saying. Is there anything you're holding back? Is there any true free expression? It's freedom. Uranus is freedom. And so we're freeing ourselves from the inside out with a 12th house Uranus retrograde. From the inside out, we're meant to throw off those shackles and free ourselves. Beautiful Cancer, if you want to claim your freedom, if you want to claim that your light is shining bright, you are not dimming, you're turning up the lights, let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear. My beautiful friend, thank you so much for joining me for this Uranus retrograde in Gemini video. Thank you for your likes, for your thumbs ups, for your comments, for subscribing to the channel. All of these make a huge difference to the success of the channel. I cannot even tell you how grateful I am for that support. If you would like to do an astrology consultation with me or find out more, go to my website, check out my astrology page. I have a coaching page. The links are in the description box below. There are testimonials on both pages from clients who have worked with me. Reading those testimonials can often give you a psychic sense, a vibe of whether you feel called to book a session. For an astrology reading, we can do a natal chart reading. Even if you've had your natal chart read before, clients always tell me, I didn't know that, I didn't know that, nobody ever told me that before. They are constantly getting new information, and this is something that I love to share with you in an astrology consultation, plus the transits that are going on now and into the next few months as we get toward the end of the year. So if you would like to know, and including this eclipse season that we're in right now, if you'd like to know more, if you'd like to know what transits are happening, how am I being affected, transformed, activated right now, and bringing what you want answers on, bringing that to our session, this is what I can help you with in an astrology consultation. Natal chart, life purpose, heart's desire, relationship harmony, or a 90-minute astrology consultation if you want more time to go over something, to get some coaching in your astrology consultation. It will be my joy to meet you on Zoom. If you'd like to get my free gift, which is a soothing guided meditation connecting you to your own divine guidance, to the unconditional love of spirit, if you'd like to receive that, go to my website, sign up for my weekly inspirational astrology updates for free, and you'll get my free instant download guided meditation as well. Let me know how you are experiencing this Uranus retrograde. If you care to share any other thoughts or comments, I love hearing from you. And until my next video, I am sending you all my love.